Welcome to Asia. I'm Laurent Timmermans, and in this video we'll be discussing how to open and maintain a company in Hong Kong in 2022. So if you have any question related to this presentation or other things related to opening a company in Hong Kong, accounting in Hong Kong, etc., don't hesitate to send us an email at info@atineja.com. A small disclaimer as well before we start. We are in an industry that keeps evolving, and the rules and regulation in Hong Kong keep changing non-stop. So please check on our channel for the most up-to-date information, or if you want also, just send us an email straight away and we'll give you the current information. So what we'll be discussing here, well, mainly is how to incorporate the company in Hong Kong, but we'll also cover the difference between a limited company versus a sole proprietorship. This is specifically interesting for you if you are a Hong Kong resident. We'll be discussing also how to maintain a company in Hong Kong, because that's really interesting and important. You know, when you open a company, it's really nice, you incorporate, but then what are the other things that you need to know, what you have to do on a yearly basis. So we'll be covering that as well. And then we'll be discussing a little bit about accounting, audit, and taxation in Hong Kong, especially the schedule of accounting and tax, so that you have an idea of what you have to do, accountingly speaking. So limited versus sole company. So again, if you are non-resident, you can totally skip this section because it makes no sense. If now you live in Hong Kong, you don't have to be a permanent resident. You can just be a regular resident, you know, like you have a working visa or you're a dependent or anything like that. So what is the difference between sole and limited? So the main difference between sole and limited is the liability. Actually, when we say limited, it's limited liability. In a sole, your liability is unlimited, so all your assets can potentially be touched. With the limited, you are limited to your initial capital that you put into the company. If you put $1, it's $1. If you put $10,000, it's $10,000. If you put $1 million, your problem, it will be $1 million. Then is the transferability. So if you look at sole, it's really difficult to transfer. Actually, I would say it's almost impossible. When you want to transfer a sole proprietorship business, what you will be doing is that you will create a limited and just sell it to somebody. The limited is easy to transfer. You can just transfer some parts or some shares of the company, or you can transfer it entirely, the entirety of the company. So you just sell all your shares to somebody and done, company transferred. Raising capital with a sole is nearly impossible, really. It's more like a friend borrow you some money, you say, oh, I will give it back to you later. But with limited, is basically the common vehicle to raise capital. So if your intention is to go to raise capital, either seeds or later several rounds of investment with private equity, the limited is the right solution for you. After that is the credibility. Well, the sole is okay for freelancing. I mean, if you're a yoga teacher or you do some small workshops or things like that, I mean, it's fine. But now, if you want to work with bigger companies, you know, and you want the credibility of an established company, it's much better to have a limited company. The registration for the sole is super easy. For the limited, it's a little bit more complicated and a little bit more expensive, but it's not crazy complicated, okay? The exit is fairly simple. What happened is that we just have to check with the CR, so the company registry, and the IRD if there is any pending issue with the case of your company, and then we close it. So it's not really difficult. And depending on which accountant you are working with, or company secretary for that matter, it can be more or less expensive, you know. So choose well from the beginning, because yeah, indeed, if you go with expensive lawyers and expensive accountant, the closing will be expensive as well. But if you go with the market value, it's totally okay, you know. Administrative duties and costs. So the main advantage of the sole proprietorship is that there is no company secretary and no audit. So you are basically saving some fees there. For the limited, you will have a yearly audit and you need a company secretary. So this is where you have extra cost on the limited company. Personally, all the business I'm opening, they are always under a limited structure, because I think it just makes more sense. And the cost is not that different. Partners. So on a sole, it's a one man, one woman band, so you can't have much partners. With a limited, this is suitable for multiple partners because what you can do is just give a few shares to different partners. So what is it good for? A sole proprietorship will be good for B2C, freelancers, personal services like a home hairdresser, personal coach, class teacher. Although personal coach, you have to be careful. If it's life coach, okay, why not? But now if you are doing fitness coaching, you better get an insurance with your sole proprietorship if that's what you do, or you just go for a limited company. So the limited will be good for corporate, startup, risky businesses, e-commerce, B2B. That's the right vehicle for this kind of business. Now, company setup, how it works. Well, the requirements in Hong Kong is that you need one shareholder. Basically, this person is the owner of the company, minimum. You can have more, but minimum one shareholder. One director. The shareholder and the director can be the same person. You need one Hong Kong dollar share capital minimum. The common practice is 10,000 Hong Kong dollars, 10,000 shares of $1 each. It's a bit of an artifact or a relics from the ancient times when we used to go to HSBC to open a bank account, and HSBC was asking for 10,000 Hong Kong dollars deposits. So we created the share capital, 10,000 shares, $1 each. And then when the client was going to HSBC, he just paid up 10,000 Hong Kong dollars on the bank account. And then basically he had a paid up capital of 10K done. So that's why we used to do that. But if you want, you can have a share capital of $1. When I started my company, I had no money. So basically my share capital is even lower than 10K. So but one is the minimum. Registered address, so you need to have a registered address in Hong Kong. So this we can provide here in our office, for example. But if you have your own office in Hong Kong, you can also use this address. You will need one company secretary. We'll be discussing a little bit later what is the company secretary. So it's not an administrative person for your company. It's a paralegal function. We'll be discussing that in a minute. You need to pay the certificate of incorporation of 1,720 Hong Kong dollars. And then you have the business registration of 2,250 Hong Kong dollars, which you will have to pay every year, this one. Not the certificate of incorporation. This is just one time, but then after the BR, the business registration, it will be a yearly thing. Now at the moment you can see the two is red and crossed, is because it's waived at the moment in Hong Kong, so you only pay 250 Hong Kong dollars of levy. So it's quite a good time to start the business because it's a bit cheaper. Then you have the SCR. So you have to create a register of significant controllers. So this register is not public. It's kept in our office, for example, as company secretary. And if we have any control from the government, we have to be able to provide this register. Is mostly for anti-money laundering and to tackle terrorism financing. So after opening the company, most of the time you will receive what we call a green box under one format or another. So the traditional green box is a box in green, and then it contains statutory book, 2 rubber chops, a common seal. It's basically a metal seal that you use to basically seal documents. I use it once in 10 years for signing my rental. So that's it. So it's not really super useful, but it's part of it. Then we have blank share certificates and 10 copies of article of association. So this is what you find in a common green box. Nowadays you have more and more virtual green box, so you don't receive the whole box. You just receive an email with all the key informations there, because the statutory book is generally a virtual things nowadays. The rubber chops, few people actually use them. The common seal, nobody use it. The blank share certificates is done online, and the articles of associations, well, you can get them in a virtual format. So actually it is not that useful anymore. But it's kind of an antiquity that remains, So you can have it either physical or virtual, Or what we do in Asia as well, if we do a bit of both. We send you a virtual one, and you can have what we call an echo box, which is basically the same content but in a different package. And the idea to do that is to save in shipping costs, because the shipping can be quite expensive for this huge green box. And so we reduce the size, and yeah, so that's the other option. So if you want to incorporate a company, what will be an all-in package? So I will give you our package so that you have an idea. This package includes everything you need to open the company. So what I don't like, I'm not a big fan of these, how do you call that? Um, oh, I forgot the name in English, but basically, these entry price. No, we give you the cheap price, like, $1,000 to open the company, but it includes nothing, and you have all these mandatory items that you have to add to have your full price. I really don't like this kind of approach. So for us, what we do is we give you the full price. There's nothing else to pay. That's what you need to pay to open the company in Hong Kong. That's it. So what it includes: the filling of all the papers for the incorporation, so the NNC one, the IRB one, the certified true copies of all your documents required to open the bank account later on. So this is certified true by a certified CPA in Hong Kong, practicing CPA in Hong Kong, sorry. You have 1 year of company secretary. All the company secretary services are at cost. That means we don't charge for the service for 1 year. But if you have any change of director, share transfer, etc., so we won't charge you anything. However, we will just charge you the fees from the government, because there is a small fee to pay for each of those transactions. You have also 1 year of registered address, 1 year of correspondence address. So what is the difference there? Well, the registered address is your official address where you will receive your official documents from the IRD, from the CR, from the bank, etc. The correspondence address is the address where you can receive some courier. So you can receive your letters, you can receive some boxes, you can receive some stuffs here basically, and we receive it for you, and then after we open, scan, send it to you so that you received your documents. So we include 1 year correspondence address there. Filling of the annual return, so this once a year, so we do it at the end of the year. The first year is included. What we also do is we do introductions to banks. So you will see this is a bit interesting to. I think I will do an extra video just for banks in Hong Kong in 2022, because this is where we find a lot of different information and sometimes conflicting, and there's a lot of questions around those. So what we do, we introduce you to banks or virtual banks or what we call MSO, so money service operators, which for you will appear as a virtual bank, but they just operate with a different license. So depending on your situation, we'll advise one or the other. If you're a Hong Kong resident, opening a bank account in Hong Kong is definitely not a problem. You can go to HSBC, to DBS, to Hang Seng. There's no real reason the bank rejects you if you are a resident. Now, if you're non-resident, having a Hong Kong account is nearly impossible, unless you have a stable establishment in Hong Kong, a permanent establishment in Hong Kong. It will be pretty difficult for you to get the bank account. So normally for those clients, what we do, we are using MSOs. So companies you may have heard of, it's Currency, Staturis, Airwallex, etc. So there is quite a few in the market. The cool thing with the MSO is that you don't need to travel to Hong Kong. So you can open your company remotely, and you can open your bank account remotely as well. So this is pretty nice. Now I just said bank account, but with the MSO, it is not really a bank account. In theory, you can receive money, you can pay, you can keep money, you can keep a balance in the account, no issue. But it is not, the MSO is not a bank. As I said, they don't operate with a banking license, but with a money service operator license. It's a custom license. The advantage with that is that the MSO at the moment is not subject to the CRS, so there's not the reporting, the automatic reporting and exchange of information. Now, the SCR, so as I talked about before, is the register of all your significant controllers. You also have the virtual green box. So this includes the BR, the CI, the article of associations. And then optionally, if you want, you can have a physical green box if you have space at home, or the eco box. Okay, so this is an option and we can talk about it. So all these, with us, 8,800, all included, even the fees to the government, so the payment of the certificate of incorporation, the business registration, are all included in this fee. Another thing to know is the insurance. So if you need an insurance, you can go have a look at Red Asia Insurance. You can say that Laurent is sending you. Can send an email at Maeva Gorgon. Just there, I put the email address. So in Hong Kong, there's only one insurance that is mandatory for the companies, and it's called employee compensation. It is regulated by the Employee Compensation Ordinance, and what is covered exactly? It basically covers the liability of the employer in case one of your staff will actually get injured or unfortunately die on the working place. So yes, or contract disease. Okay, so this is basically what it covers. When do you need to take it now? Well, when you have an employee. So as soon as you have an employee, you need to have this insurance, even if this employee is yourself. The only way to go around, if you want to have a limited company, for example, and hire yourself, is to pay yourself through director fees. At that moment, you don't need it. Okay, but if you need more information, send an email to Maeva, and she will directly give you some information. If you're a French speaker, Maeva is a French, so she can also discuss with you in French directly. Company maintenance. Well, it's really nice you just open your company, but what are the future requirements? What you have to do on an ongoing basis, because opening the company is only the beginning. Well, if you look at the time frame, basically after opening of the company, every year you will have to do your legal maintenance and your accounting, audit, and tax. So now we'll be discussing the legal maintenance. So what is included there is you need to keep a company secretary and registered address, annual return. So you need to pay your annual return fill in and pay. It's 105 Hong Kong dollars. You need to pay for your business registration. As I said before, at the moment, the business registration is still waived. So you only pay $250 of levy. So that's pretty good news. And you have to update your SCR, so your significant control register. So this is what you have to do on a yearly basis. If you have a company secretary, so if you pay somebody like us, for example, to do that, it's pretty easy and fast. So in terms of timeline, how it works. Let's say you open the company on the 15th of December 2021. Well, 12 months later, you have to do your first renewal and you have to fill in your first annual return. And then after that, every year you have to do this job. So what are the fees? Well, again, I will give you our fees. Now, in terms of fee, just to be completely transparent with you, you can use these fees for a good as a basis, because we are pretty market price in terms of incorporation and legal maintenance. You will see that you can find a bit cheaper, you can find a bit more expensive, you can find much more expensive, but it's around there, so you can use it as a reference whether you want to work with us or not. But it's good to have an idea of what a full package covers. So if you work with us, basically what is included in the package? Well, we appoint ourselves as a company secretary, and we offer all the company secretary service at cost, excluding the government fees, as I said before. We submit your annual return, the AR, we pay your annual return fees, we pay the business registration fees, we offer 1 year of registered address, 1 year of correspondence address, we maintain the SCR, and we do the yearly anti-money laundering check. So this is basically what's included. 6,800. The cool thing with legal maintenance is really there's not much work on your side. You pay us, and that's it. We can do the whole job without much of your involvement. Accounting will be another story, but for legal maintenance, this is really straightforward. One more thing as well is that so the legal maintenance, the first time you pay for it is after 1 year. So in your incorporation package, all this is already included for 1 year. So you will only pay the maintenance for after 1 year. Accounting and audit. So accounting, audit, and tax representation. This is all the things we can do for you within Athinasia. And just for you to know, we're also zero certified and gold partner. So if you need any help on zero, we can totally help you. We are pretty okay with most of the integration, especially with e-commerce. So don't hesitate to send us an email to see what we can do for you. Even if you already have a company somewhere else, no problem. You can just give us a call and we'll see how we can help. So how it works in terms of accounting. So every year you have to do the accounting, but the first accounting is really interesting because basically after opening your company, you receive your first tax return after 18 months. And sometimes this is a bit scary and confusing because the client is not receiving any news from the Inland Revenue Department for 18 months. It's like, oh, what's going on there? Well, it's normal, don't worry. So the first one comes after 18 months. And after, it will come every 12 months. Okay. Now, why is this happening? It's because within these 18 months, you can choose your fiscal year. You can choose when you will close your account. And then as soon as you choose, every year at that date, you will receive your tax return. So it could be, for example, in this case, you open the company on the 15th of December. You will receive the tax return on the 15th of June 2022. Let's say you are keen with this tax period and you want to close the account in June. So you close the account in June. So from now on, your fiscal year will be from July to June. So the next year you will receive again the tax return in June, 15th of June. Okay. So that's basically how it's working. But if you want, you can also say, look, I don't want to do 18 months. I want to do just 12 months, and I want to close. Let's say you want to close the account in December. Let's say 31st of December, and have a year that goes from January to December. So you choose the calendar year, and then what you do is that every year you will receive your tax return, on the 30th of December. So these are two examples, but basically what are the most common fiscal year in Hong Kong? So actually you can choose whatever you want, but the most common one will be those four. The first one is the calendar year. So you choose to close the accounts once a year in December. So it will be January to December. The other one could be the fiscal year of Hong Kong, the official one, which is April to March. Now, to be fully honest with you, these are the two busiest periods for accountants. So if you can avoid those, you may get your accounting a bit faster. So if you choose, for example, a mid-year, July to June, this is perfect. It's a time where most accountants are not really busy in Hong Kong. And another one, let's say you're having an education center or something. What you could do is you do September to August, so that you match the school year. And then you could be like, okay, I do September to August, I follow it. Maybe you don't care. Maybe you still want to do January to December. You can do it. Now, for example, who shouldn't close in December is e-commerce. No, if you have an Amazon store and you make most of your sales in November, December, you don't want to close the account in December. No, it's better to close it later, because so that you have the time to do a better planning and to really see what was realized, what wasn't, and also you don't have to do the accounting in your most busy period. As I said before, incorporation and maintenance at Athinasia is fairly market price. We are not expensive. We are not cheap. It's just normal. But for the accounting, we are super competitive, and many customers choose to come with us because of the accounting, because of the quality and the cost effectiveness of the accounting. So, what are the options there? Well, we have standard pricing from 0 to 5 million Hong Kong dollars with unlimited transaction during the financial year. You can choose to do it once a year or quarterly, and this includes everything related to accounting, so audit, tax computation, tax representation, the submission of the tax return. Yeah. And then in certain case, we will include Zero or QuickBooks subscription. If it's a yearly accounting, it will be the Zero Ledger. If it's a quarterly or monthly, we include the full Zero subscription, even multi-currency. So it's pretty sweet. And yeah, so pricing, it starts at 8,500, and the maximum package we have under 5 million is 38,400 Hong Kong dollars. So this gives you an idea. I will put the price in USD and euros on the side just for you to have an idea. But this gives you an idea of how much it could cost you more or less on a yearly basis. Now, if you are above the 5 million Hong Kong dollars turnover, we can do a custom quote. Or if you have some special requirement, you know, you want a weekly accounting, for example, we can talk about it. But this we'll have to discuss. We'll have to see exactly what's the situation, and we'll see what is the best solution that we can offer you, you know, to yeah, to be to have the best accounting and the most cost-effective one. Now, I hope this was useful. If you have any question, again, don't hesitate to drop us an email at info@atineja.com. There will be more videos coming soon on banks and other things. You stay connected. Maybe click the notification bell, because you can see the last time I published a video here was like 3 years ago. So I'm not really a heavy publisher. So if you want to make sure you don't miss a video, click the bell and subscribe. And I catch you in the next one.